What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel in another video. Today I've had a lot of comments talking about you guys are getting mud in your acrylic pours, so I'm going to try to show you a couple different ways so you can avoid that. First thing, I'm going to show you the color wheel to kind of illustrate this point. So right now I have reds and a green, and as you can see they're opposite on the color wheel. If you mix these two colors together, they cancel each other out and create a gray brown, kind of a nasty color. So I'm going to show you ways to avoid that so that hopefully you don't have mud in your future acrylic pours. So I have one small 6x6 canvas here. This one's going to be the one I just let be muddy. And then I have another, that's Buddy banging his head on the door trying to get in. And then I have another 6x6 over there that we're going to try to avoid getting mud. So let's just start. So let's say you're making like a Christmas pour or something. You want a bunch of reds, greens. Well, we already know, because of what we talked about already, that the reds and greens cancel each other out. So I'm letting these colors churn through each other. There's no barrier between them. And just allowing them to just mix freely. There we go. All right. So this is going to be the mud cup. I'm going to set that off to the side. And then we're going to do one that we don't want to have mud in it. Now there's a couple different ways you can do it. You don't allow the colors to churn because that will cause them to mix. Or you can use a barrier coat of white or black between the two colors that can cause mud. So I still want to use my greens and reds because it's a nice Christmas theme. But I already know that those colors don't play well together. So I'm going to add a little bit of white between them. Also being careful not to let the colors churn too much. Or you can add black. You could probably even add a gray if you really wanted to. And these are just acting as a barrier between the two colors that don't like each other. Let's add a little bit more white to this one. I didn't say anything about the mixture of the colors. This 2 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint. And the silicone that I'm using, the oil, is the OGX brand coconut milk hair serum. All right, so let me add a little more white. I want to lighten up this Christmas a little bit. Blacks are kind of overpowering when it comes to composition of a painting. It's a nice layer. I did get a little bit touching the red over there, which is okay. And you don't have to have big puddles of white, just as long as it's enough to where it will try to stop them from touching each other. Right now my cats are going crazy outside. All right, so we have the one that we're allowed to make mud, just to show, and then this one is the one without mud. And all we're gonna do is a little flip cup, kind of a messy flip. And I mean, I might as well put the no mud one over. All right, let me get my paints out of the way, my card out of the way. All right, so I'm gonna flip the muddy one over. And you can see, like, so far, it looks kind of pretty. The colors definitely aren't as vibrant as they were in the cup. The red turned into more of like a coppery red brown almost. And that's that one. I'm just gonna let it, just kind of move it a little bit, adjust it. This is also what you would do if you're tilting, which is further mixing the colors. And then let me get my clean cup out of the way. And we're just going to do a light spin to get coverage. And as you can see, you're not seeing very many vibrant colors in there at all. A lot of the colors are muted because those two green, the green and the red, they mixed and they canceled each other out quite a lot. So I am going to still take my heat gun to it because there's oils in there. And we're going to create some cells, or help some of that oil push through, pop bubbles. But as you can see, like there's not a lot of contrast in this. The colors that it did make, they're not very attractive at all. Now, if this is the look you're going for, you want a bunch of earthy tones, it might be something you want to do. But if you're looking for really bright, vibrant colors, I would suggest using the barrier or one of the methods we've talked about so far. So I'm going to set that off to the side. And this is supposed to be the one without mud. All right. So we saw those colors. Those were not very great. Now with the barrier in between them all, there you go. Now you're seeing there's a lot more vivid in the green. The red has stayed very well defined. There's not a whole lot of over mixing of the paints. There still is a little bit of mud, and there's going to be. It's very difficult to avoid all of it. But you can see the colors are just brighter and more pronounced. And we're not going to give this one any special treatment. I'm going to spin it and then heat it up just like I did in the other one. Trying to get coverage on the canvas. You can already see there's much brighter red right there flying around on the canvas. All right, the greens are very much more pronounced. And take our heat gun to it and let those oils go to work. As you can see, that white is adding a whole lot of contrast, as well as the black. And it just ends up looking more pleasing to the eye. I get more Christmas vibes from this than I did from the other green and red pour by itself. Just because the other one got so muddy that you can't really tell what colors were that you used specifically. But with this one, you can tell there's reds, greens, whites, and blacks also. So I'm gonna bring you guys down so you can get a look at them wet, and you can see the difference side by side. All right, so this is the first one. Now, I'm not gonna say it's not pretty. There are some pretty cool things that are going on in there. You can see the green pretty decently. But there is mud in there too. And there's not very much contrast. Now, just adding that little bit of white and black as a barrier, you get much more defined colors. The reds are really bright, the greens are really bright, and the white and black added a whole lot of interest and contrast to the cells to help them kind of stand off. Okay, so this is the one with no barrier, and I didn't try to prevent any of the muddiness. We still have some nice greens, but the red is all but pretty much swallowed up. There's some sections where they're really a not so attractive brown around the edges, and then that color is kind of predominant throughout. Then we move over to the dry version of the other one, and I'm not seeing many browns. There's a lot more reds, bright greens, whites. It might have muddied just a little bit, but it's a real stark contrast from the other one. If you want to watch another video just like this, click the screen right now and I'll see you there.